My shoelaces are out to kill me to settle a score. Allow me to explain.
The unluckiest girl in the world, that's me!
I had to take health class twice. I transferred schools for all the usual reasons. Bullying. All my friends were on drugs. My teacher had a knife in his desk. And one of the kids pulled his pants down during PE and the teacher did nothing. Etc. And that was all for my first high school. And I was only there 1 semester. During my short-lived attendance there, I took health as a semester class. When I transferred, my new school required a full year of health. So I was forced to take the summer school edition. Now, there are many terrible things about health class. Learning about eating disorders, watching scarring videos of babies being born, and having to deal with boys in their infinite maturity, learning about sex. But the worst part about health class is running the mile. Because this summer school class was condensed into only 3 weeks, we had to run the mile every single day. And I was not looking forward to it. On day 1, I made my protest evident by barely trying. On that day, I ran a 14-minute mile. On day 2, I felt guilty about not trying the day before, and so I decided I should probably put in some effort because I clearly hadn't on day 1. So as I'm all out sprinting my mile, my friend somehow managed to step on my tied shoelace. I have been trying to figure out how she defeated physics to accomplish this ever since, but it happened, and the next thing I knew, I was sprawled and skidding along on the track. I got up and I looked at my leg. It was dirty and it stung a little bit, but it looked fine, and since I had decided to actually try that day, I just kept running. After about a minute, I felt a strange squishing feeling in my shoe and I looked down. My entire leg from the knee down was covered in blood. It was in my sock, it was in my shoe, it was dripping on the track. It looked like only my right leg had been cast as carry. Evidently what had happened is I had split my knee open, and that, in addition to the ample road rash up and down my shin, had contributed to the waterfall that ran down my lower leg. I took all of this in and I made a split-second decision. Now, I am a relatively stubborn and singularly focused person, so since I had decided to do well on my mile that day, I just kept running. Now remember, I'm running on a track, so in order to finish my mile, I have to pass my teacher. So I'm hiding behind another person, hoping she won't see that I'm maimed. But I had no such luck. She yelled my name and something to the effect of, "What do you think you're doing?" Once she had quickly inspected my leg, she walked me across the field to the drinking fountain and had me put my leg in it. In hindsight, this is highly unsanitary for both my leg and the drinking fountain. After she had rinsed my leg off in the drinking fountain, she sent me to the nurse's office. But when I arrived to the nurse's office, I found out that I had an entirely new set of problems, because the nurse was not there. Apparently no one thought it was necessary to keep her around during summer school. But their expectations were no match for the damage that I could do to myself. And my leg was already excessively bleeding again. The receptionist had the brilliance to think, "Hey, we don't have a nurse, but we have the next best thing, a crap ton of moms." She went and found every office employee of that school who was also a mother and brought them all to me. The nurse's office at my high school was a glorified closet with medical supplies and a single cot. This is designed for maybe 2 people, at most. But now, with every mom that was available, it was bursting at the seams. And they were all talking over each other, trying to figure out what to do with me as I'm bleeding out on the cot. But one mom managed to get her voice over all the rest, and she said, "Hey, let's just dump hydrogen peroxide on it. It doesn't hurt, and it keeps it from getting infected." Now that sentence contains 2 lies. Firstly, hydrogen peroxide stings like a truck full of bees. I was biting my lip to keep from crying in front of this room full of moms while they're repeatedly dumping hydrogen peroxide on my knee. As this progressed, I started to wish that the fall had killed me instead of merely stripping me of my skin and my dignity. But as I said, there were 2 lies. The next day, I went to the doctor and my knee was already infected. But the bright side of getting your leg destroyed during health summer school is is that you never have to run the mile again. 2 years earlier, in 8th grade, I was climbing a tree with one of my friends. This tree was in the parking lot of the office complex across the street from my house, in this weird island of plants in the center of the parking lot. I liked to hang out over there because I liked to pretend that I was in Narnia. But anyway, my friend and I were climbing this tree. This was a terrible idea, and I will openly admit this was terrible. This was not a good call. But my friend and I are about 10 feet up this tree, and the branch beneath me starts breaking. So I say, hey, this branch is breaking. What should I do? And he, in his 8th grade boy wisdom, said, just let go of the tree. Terrible idea. And I, in my 8th grade girl wisdom, said, okay. And I let go of the tree, and the branch broke underneath me, and I fell towards the ground. As I fell, I should have been thinking about a lot of things, but my mind was empty as I accepted death. And I waited to hit the ground. And I kept waiting. And I kept waiting. Eventually, I realized that I was no longer falling, and I tilted my head up, and the ground was about this far from my face. Then, I looked towards my feet. I was hanging out of the tree by my shoelace. As I was falling, the bow of my shoelace had gotten caught on the only twig on the last branch of that tree. And now I'm absolutely certain that my shoelace saved my life that day, to make sure that I couldn't be so mad when it maimed me later on.
When all is going wrong and you're scared as hell, what you gonna do, who you gonna tell? Maybe 100 bad days made 100 good stories. 100 good stories made me interesting at parties. 100 bad days made 100 good stories. 100 good stories made me interesting at parties. Yeah, no,